in listen-only mode.
All right. Good morning, everybody. This is Julie Foster Hagan with the Office for Citizens with Developmental Disabilities. Um, and thank you for joining this morning so that we can talk with you guys about the bonus payments for the ADC and the ADHC provider agencies. Um, you should have received a memo that outlined the details related to the payments, but we're here today so that we can provide you with some further explanation and be able to answer your questions. So folks are able to enter questions into the Q&A section, and we'll be monitoring those and answering those as we once we finish the presentation here today. Um, I do just want to emphasize with you guys that it's very important for you as providers to know that it is critical that you make sure that you make these payments to your employees for those who do qualify. And it's important to know that you need to maintain documentation for those payments to workers, as there may be audits or questions about that, and you'll need to be able to show where these payments were made to workers. So with that, I will turn it over to Brian, I believe is next. Unless Mindy, you had other words that you wanted to say to get us kicked off.
No, I guess I just wanted to add at a high level that the department and quite a few of the agencies within department have worked very hard over the last 2 years to bring this to fruition. And it's been a bit of a bumpy ride to get it all laid out, but today's a great day to be launching this out. And we look forward to getting finances in the hands of the people that did such critical work during the pandemic. So just wanted to say this is a good day for all of us. I can't wait for you all to engage in this process so that we can get those direct service workers paid. That's all. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Bennett. I'm with Medicaid, and like Julie and Mindy mentioned, a memo was released earlier in the week, and I'm going to review some of the important pieces of that memo and provide a little additional detail around the payments, just certain points that we want to underscore. And I'm going to share my screen. I have two quick slides that I'm going to review with everyone. So these bonus payments, they are being funded by the American Rescue Plan. And like Mindy said, we have been working on this for quite some time just to get everything in place. Our CMS applications, our rulemaking, and all of the system programming that we needed to have done to roll these out. But as far as the payments, currently employed workers within your agencies may qualify if they provided 16 hours of services during the months of April of 2021 through October of 2022. Those are going to be the months that are used to determine eligibility. And how exactly are we going to determine eligibility? A form is going to be released in lasers for each provider to go into and report worker information. And during those months, the April through October months, and that information is going to be used to ultimately determine which workers are eligible and the amount of the bonus payment they'll receive. I do want to underscore, and this was put into the memo also, but that information will need to be entered and submitted by August the 19th. That deadline is very important because if we want to be able to push these payments out by our scheduled date, we need the information submitted to us by the 19th. Another thing I want to emphasize is that workers will only receive one bonus payment. So I know that this might be a little or not as common with some of our other provider types. But for example, if you have a worker that currently works at two different agencies, they won't get two sets of bonus payments. They'll only get one, and whichever agency reported the greater number of hours for that worker, that's where the bonus payment will be issued. And then another example, if you have a worker that already received a bonus payment, perhaps they work for an in-home provider, and they already were issued a bonus payment through that provider, they won't get a second one. So I just wanted to emphasize that we're looking at all the worker information just to make sure that we're only issuing one set of bonus payments per worker. So after you all report your worker information in onto the lasers form, which SRI is going to talk a little bit more about that and show you what that looks like in a minute. A report will be made available to you in lasers that will list which workers qualified for the bonus payments and the gross amounts owed to them. That will probably be available a little bit closer to the date that the payments go out, but we'll make sure to notify everyone when that report is available to them in lasers. That's what you're going to look at after you receive the funding. That report's going to be your guide to show which workers qualified and how much they're owed. So like I mentioned about that August 19th deadline, that is important because we are scheduling to release funding for these bonus payments to you all on the August 29th check rate. Gainwell will be issuing that, and you'll receive it, the same way in which you would receive normal claims payments in whatever account or method that you receive those payments. This funding will be issued in by that same method. And then also the amount issued 4 bonus payments will also be listed on your remittance advice. And just to underscore one more time, that August 19th deadline, that's important for us to be able to make sure that we're able to get the payments out by the end of the month on the 29th. So please pay attention to that, and I will turn it over to SRI now, and they'll review that form with you where you'll report your worker information.
Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Daniel from SRI. So we'll go over the form real quick. Let me share my screen. All right, so you should be able to see there's the memo from LDH. It goes through, you know, who qualifies and how they qualify. And then you would get into lasers. We will be releasing everything after the meeting today. It's not there right now. We should be releasing it by noon. So you'll be able to start entering in your DSWs and their hours, but we'll go through what the forms would look like. So you start off, you're going to go under your ARPA tab, just like you had for the ARPA reports before if you were able to access them. Where it shows you who qualifies for what. There will be another tab there. It's going to be the ARPA DSW staff form. Once you click on that tab on the menu, it's going to open up this grid right here that you see. You would select this green button in the top middle to add a DSW or staff, so we highlighted it right here below. And once you click that button, a form is going to open up for you. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this better. Some of you are on phones. All right, so once you add that person, you're going to go through, you're going to put in their last name, their first name, their social, the date of birth, and the job description. We'll be using this information to match that person back. So let's say somebody was providing PCS type services, but they also work in an ADHC at some point in time. We can join all that data together to get a work history for that person to see if they qualify. So they could have worked, you know, 1 month and met the criteria as LTPCS in June of 2023, and they were working at ADC back during COVID, so they qualify for all those months, and then they qualify because they're still working. So what you would do is you would put in the identifying information here. You would put in whether they're currently employed. So it's an hour. So you have to go back in and you're going to put the number of hours that they worked in each of those months. So if they worked, you know, 20 hours in May, you would just list the 20 there, and you're going to go down and list. If they didn't work for your agency that month, you just put a 0. So in this, you're only concerned about how many hours they worked for your agency. If you know they work for another agency as well, that other agency is going to put in that information. So it's just the information, the number of hours that they met the criteria on that OAS and OCD memo that you're going to put in each line for those months. Once you do that, you can go ahead and process it. If you need to come back and edit it, or you want to just put their information in first, let's just say you want to put their last name, first name, social, date of birth, and their job description in, and then you have to go pull some hours for them. You can always add that and then come back and put the hours in. And I'll show you what that screen looks like below. So once you key people in, you'll see that, you know, we've keyed in some fictitious direct service workers here. There's 2 buttons out to the right. You have an edit button and then a test button. So the edit button, if you want to go back in and make changes, you can see this one right here for Mr. Art. They only put in the last 3 months. They may want to go back and put in the next couple months. You know, for Tim 2, they could just put in the first month. Maybe that was, you know, May. They have to go look up the rest of it or pull it out of lasers. So they can always come back and hit the edit button. Now the test button, once you click on that button, The edit button just pulls back up that same screen so you can edit it. Process is basically the same thing as save. So if you want to make changes, you can do that. Once you do the attest button, you're going to get this verbiage right here. It's going to say confirm attest. By clicking the process button below, you attest the following. You're going to attest that the individual is true and accurate, and the individual listed perform the duties for ADC, ADC, or Respite Center as described in the OAS memo or OAS OC memo for the hours reported. And then once you do that, you can see here that that record is locked, and you can no longer edit. So once you attest, once you click on that process button through the attest process, we have to lock that record, because now that record is going to be payments are reliant upon that record. So we can't have records being in there on the 19th when we go to calculate payments, and then those records being edited later on. So as you can see, these two records right here are locked down, and they're no longer available for edit because they were already attested to and confirmed to be accurate. So once you put that information in there, on the 19th, we'll pull all the information together. We will pull it through, match it to other records in the system where that direct service worker may have worked at other agencies, and we'll compile all that information together to see if overall they qualify for the ARPA bonus payments. Now, this is going to work similar to the first round, whereas if they used to work for your agency, and you put that information in, but let's say they no longer work for your agency, the person that they're currently, or the agency that they're currently working for, is going to receive the money and then be responsible for transferring that money to the direct service worker that qualifies for the ARPA bonus payment. And the reason being is it's a lot easier for an agency that they're currently working with to have, their current address and everything, instead of you who they may have stopped working for you back in 2021 or early 2022, you may not have their current address. So it's going to go to the agency that they most currently work for. If they're currently working for your agency and another agency, it's going to go to the ones that they work the most for in June. And if there's an exact tie, it goes to the one that they most recently worked for in June. So that's the ARPA DSW staff form. So like I said, those will be available at noon today. You'll see them there, and under the help tab in lasers, which is up in the top right-hand corner, which is going to be by your name and by your profile, we'll actually add a ARPA DSW staff form guide, and we actually have a walkthrough. It's these same screenshots, but there's verbiage around them. It kind of walks you through that process. If you have any questions, you can feel free to call us. I can put our number in the chat and our email address in the chat in just a second. And you're more than welcome to reach out to us if you have any issues or have any questions with these forms. If you accidentally attest somebody but you want us to return it to you, we can do that as well. One last note, we have to make sure that when we pay individuals out, that we don't pay the same individual twice. So we're using the Social Security number and their identifying information to make sure that we're paying, each unique direct service worker. If you enter in a record, we're going to pull these records in, and we actually do a direct service worker audit to where we compare. Let's say you put somebody in and somebody else put somebody in, same last name, same first name, same date of birth, different social. We have to make sure that the information is correct. So you may get an alert if that happens, and I don't expect it to happen that much, but if it does happen, you'll get an alert on your dashboard, and we will actually remove the attestation and tell you to go ahead and verify that social or that last name or first name or date of birth with us, and I'll give you a phone number and who to contact on that one for help. But you would receive an alert, because we want to make sure that people aren't putting in, the same direct service worker with differing information, and then those payments are inaccurate. But like I said, I'll put our information in the chat in just a second, and just feel free to reach out to us if you need any help.
All right, thanks. Bernard, are there any questions in the Q&A?
Just one, are direct support workers who provide services under Louisiana Family Services, Inc., in-home respite, PCA daycare eligible for the bonus? Hello?
Brian, can you take that one?
I'm not,
Can you repeat the question, Bernard?
Yep. Are direct support workers who provide services under Louisiana Family Services, Inc., in-home respite, PCA daycare eligible for this bonus? I'm assuming that's an entity of some sort.
are they a respite provider under the waiver?
I'm
If-
not sure.
I'm just saying, if so, I would presume that they would be, because the memo was addressed to respite providers under the waivers. We can look that up just to make sure. I'm not I don't know the providers, each individual one, so we would have to double check that to confirm. But if they're a respite provider under the waiver, they should be.
Got you. Here's another one, Brian.
Well, and just real quick to clarify, if you're, for those people, because some people do private pay and waiver services. So those staff that you had that provided the waiver services would be eligible. So just to be clear, the bonus would be able to be paid to workers who provided that respite service to folks through the home and community-based waiver service, respite service. Is that correct, Brian? But not if they were served, not for those that they served that were not in the home and community-based waiver. Would that be accurate?
Yes, that's correct. That's a good point that maybe we didn't mention on the webinar, but this funding is being provided through the American Rescue Plan, and it's specifically earmarked to support and enhance Medicaid funded home and community-based services, such as our waiver programs. So only those workers that work directly with waiver participants would be eligible.
All right. Can transportation get this bonus as well, since they're providing services?
So in addition to the direct care staff, the two other types of individuals that were identified are staff that transportation staff. So yes, they would be eligible for any providers that have transportation staff, or staff that are involved with meal preparation or cooking for the waiver participants that attend those agencies or those centers every year. So those, in addition to the direct care staff, the transportation workers, the drivers, and any staff that are involved with meal prep or cooking.
All right, that looks like all the questions. Any other questions? Oh, here we go. I don't know if this is a question or comment, but it says, according to the memo, it says that if a provider is subject to recoupment, then that provider would not get the payments, but would still have to provide the bonuses to the workers. I'm assuming they would want some clarification on that.
So if, and this is the same for your claims payments. If a provider has a negative balance on file with Gainwell, the bonus payments will still be pushed out, but it will be less that negative balance that you have on file. So if you can do anything to clean that up or adjust your claims to clean that up, you should try to do that, because the payments will still go out to you, but it'll just be less that amount that you have that negative balance on file with Gainwell.
This is Steve at SRI. Can I jump in here real quick?
Sure.
We're going to ask all the ADCs and ADHCs to put down all the hours worked for their employees. If the person worked for you in May, June, or July, and that indicates that they're currently working, please do put down their hours, even if they didn't work for you during the COVID period, because they may have worked for somebody else during the COVID period. So we need to gather the information on the hours that a person worked across all agencies from April of 21 to October 22 and May, June, and July of 23. So they may have not worked for you all that time, but please do put in what they did work, so we can aggregate it together to make sure an employee that deserves the money gets paid. I give it back to you, Bernard.
All right, I don't see any other questions. One last call for questions.
All right, well, thank you everybody for your time, and thanks for your assistance in helping us get out these payments and collect all the information so that we can try to have an impact on retention for our direct support workers. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.